Y bienvenidos a nuestra sesión. Vamos a repasar la unidad 4. Okay, primeramente, we're going to review the subject pronouns. This is important for you to know and understand so that you can understand how the verbs work in Spanish, and you can learn all the verbs and the proper conjugations. So here we have a chart with the subject pronouns. These are the different people that could potentially be speaking or we're talking about in a sentence, right? They could be the subject of that sentence. Okay, remember pronoun just stands for replacing someone's name. So this is just in place of saying people's names. So we have yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ustedes, and also ellos and ellas fit in here. Okay, make sure you understand this because we're definitely going to rely on these charts as we move forward with today's lesson and understanding the grammar. Okay, I want to review this particular chart. This is a verb, ser. It's irregular, so it means the spelling of it doesn't necessarily follow the regular pattern of spelling the verbs. However, this is something you just want to memorize. These are very important verbs, conjugations to know, right? Just like how often we say in English, amar is, you would use these all the time in Spanish. So make sure you understand these, especially because they're going to be directly applicable to your project 4. You're going to need to know these conjugations and who they belong to. About a girl or a boy or you, we would use this one down here. Right? If we're saying they, we use this one, and so on. Okay, specifically today we're going to talk about AR verb conjugation. So this is for almost all verbs. Most of them will follow this pattern unless they're irregular and there's only a few and you'll memorize those throughout learning Spanish. Otherwise, all AR verbs follow this conjugation pattern for the present tense. So notice we have our subject pronoun. So what you're going to do when you have a verb is that ends in AR, for example, hablar ends in AR, you take off that AR at the end and you add in these endings instead, okay, coordinating with the subject pronoun, so who's ever talking. So for example, let's look at this more closely. Okay, here we have the verb hablar. So you can see the endings here in red. We took off the AR and now we've added those endings in red, just like in the previous chart, the exact same endings. Okay, so you can see the word becomes hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, habláis, hablan. Okay, you'll definitely want to memorize this chart and these endings because all of the AR verbs are going to follow this conjugation. We'll learn about the IR, ER verbs in the next unit, but it's actually going to be very similar to these endings. Instead of an A, mostly you're going to have an E. Okay, another AR verb that we commonly use is estar. This is used to indicate location and say how people feel, so it's used differently than ser. However, this one is also irregular, at least in the first conjugation. It doesn't follow the pattern that we just showed you. However, the rest of it does follow that pattern. Estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. So the rest of the conjugations, you would take out AR and add those endings that we talked about on this chart. Okay, you will use the verb estar starting here and throughout the rest of Spanish, so this is an important one to learn as well. Let's go ahead and do some practice. Okay, using estar. Remember, estar is a temporary condition. Describing how someone feels is how they feel in that moment, not how they always are feeling. Okay, so he is bored is a temporary thing. Right now, he is bored. We would use the verb estar. We'd use that conjugation from the chart, and it would be él está aburrido. Okay, and you could just refer to this chart, and I would suggest copying it down into your notes and use this chart for as much as you'll need it, which will be a lot. Okay, I am nervous. If we refer back to our chart, the conjugation is estoy, yo estoy, and now I have an A here, depending on if you're a girl or a boy. If it's a girl, you'd say nerviosa, a boy would say nervioso. They are busy. Ellos están ocupados, so it means right now, temporarily, they are busy. Using están, that matches up with ellos. Ellos están ocupados. We are good, like today. You know, if someone asks you how you're doing, we're good. Estamos bien. You are tired. Estás cansado or cansada, depending on if it's a girl or a boy. I'm happy. Estoy contento or contenta, depending on if it's a girl or a boy. Okay, so hopefully you can see how you would use that chart. You find the right conjugation that matches up with that subject pronoun, we, you, I, whatever it is. Okay, I want to talk about the verb ir. This is also a verb you will use a lot in Spanish, so you definitely want to learn this one, understand it, and really you just need to memorize this one. This one is an irregular verb as well. So it means to go, and we have our subject pronouns here that you should be very familiar with by now, and our conjugations. Voy, vas, va, vamos, vais, van. If you actually look at the endings, they actually pretty much closely follow the conjugations for the AR verbs. Okay, not 100%, but pretty close. Okay, here is another one you'll want to look at. Okay, say it's the same information, just presented slightly differently, but in the same type of chart. Voy, vas, vamos, vais, van. Okay, very importantly, if you are going to say, I'm going to the store, the library, the school, anywhere you're going to, you use ir, the verb ir, so the correct conjugation, then you add the letter a. Okay, ir plus a means going to. So for example, if you wanted to say, I'm going to the store, you'd say voy, because that's the conjugation for I, voy a la tienda. If you wanted to say you are going to the library, vas a la biblioteca. So in Spanish, when you're using verbs, you always need to conjugate the verb to the right subject pronoun, whoever is speaking or whoever the sentence is about. Okay, in this case, when you say go to, just add a to mean to. If you have any questions on anything up until this point, please contact me. I'd be happy to go over it with you and make sure that you understand or credit for a synchronous session. Send me a message with the answers to all of the questions. Number 1, how do you say she speaks in Spanish? Number 2, ¿cómo se dice I'm going to school? Number 3, translate to English, ellos hablan. Number 4, translate to Spanish, we go. Number 5, what does van mean?